Hello and welcome to this new episode of Continuum Gaming, and in this episode we are going to have a look at an app which gives you a good backup opportunity. Okay, so this app is called harbout-talteen, and the app can be used to create a full backup of your smartphone. There are a couple of different solutions for that, but this one is a pretty good one, I would say, because it helps you to back up everything, including media data, including stuff like which apps are set up on your system, how they are set up. You get stuff like, for instance, your contact list, and even stuff like the protocol of the telephone calls you received and stuff like that. All that is backed up with this system too. It's encrypted and with a good standard of encryption. And it's going to help you a lot if you want to, for instance, move from one smartphone to another smartphone, because that's an option that this app gives you, using, for instance, Wi-Fi or an SD card if you want to, depending on what you want to use. Both is possible. It's not going to save anything on an external server or something. That's not what this app is all about. It's all about really a manual backup approach which can be used to set up new smartphones or move between smartphones and stuff like that. It's a really interesting app. It seems to be working very well, and it just received a big update, or was even introduced to the store, because other solutions, for instance, there is one that is native to SFOS, do it in a different way, and they don't usually, and in the end, I think they don't save stuff like media data and these protocols and stuff like that. They save a couple of things like the accounts and stuff like that, but not everything, and that one seems to be doing that. Okay, so to show you that, I of course have set up a little bit of stuff to show you how to do that. It's pretty easy, but just to let you know how to do that and how it will be done, I'm going to use my C2 in this case, because just to let you know, if you back up a lot of data as we would do here, it would take a lot of time. And so I used my smartphone, which is seldomly in use, and like that there is not that much data on this, and so I can be much faster than, for instance, with my daily driver, because then it would take maybe hours to do a full backup or something. So really we will use this one, which is easier and much more lightweight. In my situation, in yours that might be different. And in general, if you want to use this app, I would recommend you to just let it run overnight or whatever you want, depending on how much data you already have on the smartphone you want to transfer from. Okay, so first off, where to get this app? Just go to Storeman, you can find it there, and there are a couple of different options there. It's called harbout-talteen, I think. I always forget how that one is called, so I can just go in here and see, hey, okay, the last one was updated on the 15th of April, so very new one. And if you click on that, then you're going to get that. Very important, this is in beta status, okay? It's not fully tested, and the author of this system or this app really tells you, hey, be very aware that everything that is going on here is more or less the software that is given as is. If it does something to your system somehow, somewhere, or the backups are not fully compatible or whatever, then it's not on him. So be very aware of that. Most backup solutions do something like this and tell you that, because it's a really bummer. And if somebody tries to then tell them, hey, it's your fault, then they have to legally say something like this. It works very well as far as I can say, but just to let you know, this is the information you really should read, just to make sure that you know what you are getting into in this one, okay? Good thing about this harbout-talteen backup system here is that it's really using standard default tools. So it's using OpenSSL for encryption. It uses a tar system, so you can open that with any kind of zip program, or 7-zip, for instance, on Windows. Or of course, Linux is natively able to open these kind of file formats, and like that you can really get your data back, even if you don't have harbout-talteen anymore, you don't want to use that or whatever reason there is, you can just use your desktop in general, or your laptop, whatever, to more or less get the data back out of there, because it's really done with pretty standard Linux software there, and like that it's really easy to get that back. Or let's say it's not totally easy, but it's possible. Okay, so that is what he's telling you there. So if you got there, just go to the top menu there, and at this point, if you didn't install it till now, you will have the install button there, so install it, and then it will more or less come as an app at the bottom of your last installed ones, and then you have talteen in this case. If I click on that, for me there is already one update or one backup I did, and if you did it, for instance, didn't do anything at the moment, then you will just get an info, hey, there's no backup available, nothing else is changing here. As you can see, I did a backup. You can, for each and every backup, you can give a name. I would highly recommend you to do that. So this is a backup of the C2, the smartphone, from the year 2026 in this case, the 4th month, so in the end April, and on the 18th. And I would highly recommend you to do it exactly like that, or at least get some kind of a timestamp in there in the name too, and put it like that. Good thing is, it's going to tell you when the backup was too, but I would just do it like that, so you can, if you're just going to use the files or whatever later on and not the app itself, you can still see which kind of backup this was and when was its creation date and stuff like that. It's much easier like that. What you also can see is that it's internally saved in this case, and that it is at a size of round about 640 MB. 14. So you already see it's a pretty big one, even for this one. So if you do that with a lot of different pictures and stuff like that, it really can be a very large file. Good thing is, you can save this if you have an SD card, for instance, directly on the SD card, or you can save it internally, depending on if you have one and whatever. And of course, you can, for instance, use SSH or whatever you are using to go to your smartphone and get these informations out of your smartphone too. If you want to know where this backup is saved, I will put down below a link, because at the moment, I already told the author about that, but at the moment there is no information in the app itself where this file is placed. But it is available freely on the smartphone, you can easily access it, and you can work with that too if you need to. In general, now you can just click on this button and you can see there are a couple of different informations about this whole part, okay? And the great thing about this app is you don't have to always get everything restored or something, but you can, for instance, just restore a couple of different things from one of the backups. So if you did a backup with all the different informations in there, like I did in this case, then you can just, for instance, say, hey, I want to get back, let's say, the downloads folder or something. And you can select that and you can only recreate these informations. Pretty interesting, pretty well done. It's not that you can do it on a per file base or something, that's not going to happen, but at least you have these categories, which are already a great helper in this case. Other than that, you always have to put in a backup password if you create one, so make sure that you know that one, otherwise you can't decrypt more or less this file, and then the data is lost. So be very aware that you need this backup password, otherwise you're not going to be able to get your data back, no matter which kind of way you are going to use there, because it's a really good encryption, and that one is pretty hard to get around, or even not possible in the end. Okay, so for normal people, not possible. If you have a supercomputer, maybe in 100 years you could get it back or something, but it's really hard. Don't try it out. Okay, so first off, let's have a look and see what we can do here. For instance, I could, for instance, enter now a password and do stuff, but I want to show you, before we go on, how to create a new one. How do you do that? You just go to the upper menu there, And here you have a couple of different options. One is new backup. Okay, cool. If you do that, then you get the information I just told you about. You can put in a label. It's optional, but I would, as mentioned before, write something in here so the backup name is defined there. You can put in a password, or you have to put in the password twice. So make sure you know that, and that is really something you remember. If there is no SD card, it's really hard to see in the end, but here, if there's no SD card involved in the smartphone, so I didn't put one in my C2 in this case, you will not have another option than internal. But if there would be one, you could now select at this point where you want to save this on the SD card or on the internal space there, depending on what you want to do. And here you can see what will be saved, and you decide about that too. So if you want to, for instance, have all the app data and the app grid layout and stuff like that saved, then just do that. Call history is saved, as you can see, messages, documents, downloads, pictures, videos, music. Those are the options you have here. And you can save all of them in this backup file, and all of them will be available later on then. Otherwise, you will only have the options to, of course, recreate app data and stuff like that. Pretty logical, right? Okay. If you are ready and you did something here and you put in your password, you will have this button Start Backup, and he will take a little time to do the backup. So if you click on that, then it's going to show you some kind of a progress bar. It's not really a progress bar, it's just telling you, hey, I'm working, because he doesn't know how much he has to save, I think. In the end, the working bar is shown up down there, and be very aware. If you do all of these, for instance, with all the different media and stuff like that you have there, this can be gigabytes or even terabytes possible. Yeah, probably not, because you're not saving the SD card, but in the end, it can be gigabytes of data, and that will take time. So for instance, I just tried something out and tried to back up my Xperia 10 Mark II, this one. So it's not my daily driver anymore, but here I did the same thing, and this backup I did here took a lot longer, and it was in the end round about 13.6 gigabytes of space that took. I'm not sure if you can see it. I'm just going to hold it a little bit here if you want to read it. I'm not sure if you can. Doesn't really matter. In the end, this one already told me, hey, it is much larger, and it took a lot longer. Okay, we are talking about maybe an hour or something to back this up. So make sure that you have time if you are doing this, because if it's your daily driver, you really need some kind of time to do that, because he's going to encrypt a lot of different data there, and he's going to do it with very small files and stuff like that. That will take time, okay? Well, let's go back to my C2 here, and if we go out here, I'm just going to show you what will happen here, and if it's possible to more or less recreate stuff from the backup, okay? I already did one, I showed you that, and now I can go to my downloads folder here. And as you can see, this is my downloads folder, very, not too much in here, a little bit. So we have round about maybe, I don't know, 80 or 100 MB or something in that direction maybe. But these kind of files you can see here, I will delete them and I will recreate them from my backup now, okay? So first off, to delete them, I'm just going to use my options here to get rid of them. I'm not sure if there's a multi-select feature in this case, but it really doesn't matter for a couple of them. I'm just going to do that. And as mentioned before, we are going to recreate all these files I am deleting now. Good thing is that at least you don't have to wait for the confirmation. Interesting, if you never saw that, this is often a confirmation dialog, more or less. So in the end, you have a couple of seconds still, if you deleted something or did something, till it's really going to be deleted. So it's more or less like this: do you really want to, but you are not asked that. You have this kind of timer telling you, you clicked something wrong, just click again, it's going to be cancelled then. Very interesting. This is a little bit special, a little bit different from other GUI interfaces or UI interfaces in general, but it really doesn't matter much. Okay, so let's see. As you can see, we deleted all the files here, not the speech models. We are not going to talk about that one. In there are a couple of files too, so it doesn't really matter. I think he's going to overwrite everything that is already there, but I am not sure. Anyway, as you can see, files are gone now. Okay, cool. So let's go back to our app we had here, and now we are creating a new one at the moment. I don't want that. We are going to go into the backup I already have here. Backup is ready. Okay, cool. Now, to get this working, you will have to put in your backup password here first. Otherwise, you're not going to get the button down below to do something, and it's not going to work because it's not going to be decryptable like that. Okay. So give me a sec. I'm going to put that in, and then we can go on. Okay. So the password is in there. And now we can have a look at the different kinds of options I will have to recreate here. And what we are going to do is we are going to recreate the downloads part, okay? You can see it's a backup from this lunchtime, around about lunchtime. And here we can see everything already selected. We selected only downloads because that's what I'm going to recreate here. And now I'm just going to click on Start Restore. He's going to do that, and here you can see this kind of I'm still rocking bar I told you about. This one is going to be shown when you create a new backup too, so you don't really know exactly how long it's going to be. It's just going to show you this. I already did this process once, so I can already say it will take maybe 2 minutes or something. I'm not sure. It takes a little bit of time. It's not instant or whatever, because he's going to decrypt everything in the background and stuff like that. Good thing about all of this, if I go in here, you can already see he's even going to show you that in the overview here, so you get some kind of a notification if everything is done. Other than that, you can work on if you want to. Wouldn't download something, I'm not sure what's going on then, but in the end, just to do this should be fine. Okay, so why are we not going to use the internal backup mechanism of Jolla for this one? Because, hey, should work too, right? Kind of. Problem about the internal one is it's going to save everything, really a lot of different things. Oh, yeah, just to show you how it's done, go to your settings there. If you go in there, you will find a couple of different options, of course, and one of them is going to be, Datensicherung in German, backup in the end, in English in the end. And here you can already see we have a couple of different options natively by self-assurance. Those are more or less something like you can automatically secure your data. I'm not doing that with my C2, with my daily driver. I'm doing that. So there I have more or less set up a Nextcloud account. Nextcloud is a self-hosted system where I can more or less save stuff over there. But very important, these kind of backups we are doing here is all about content, so accounts, browser, calendar. Okay, there is the information that it successfully restored everything. We are going to have a look at that later on. But again, as you can see, there are a couple of different things, but you will not have anything from the gallery, the video, stuff like that. Okay, so be very aware if you use only this, you will lose all your videos, all your images and stuff like that, pictures you took, if you really have to use the backup because something went wrong, whatever. Good thing about it, this one is very fast. So because they're not going to save media data or whatever, it's really fast. It's going to save the more important stuff too. So something like accounts and passwords and stuff like that. Passwords of the accounts are not saved, just the accounts itself are saved. So the password, you should still know your passwords, for instance, for your email accounts or whatever to use this. It's more than nothing. It really helps if you have some kind of I don't know, you will have to recreate your smartphone for some kind of reason because you dropped it or whatever and you just bought a new one. You can use this. It's really helpful for that. But the other app is much more powerful because she can more or less, or the app can more or less save everything. That's really interesting. I still would do both because in the end those are done automatically and those of course are done more or less manually in the end, so you have to activate the backup. Of course, you're not going to copy stuff around, but you will have to do it manually, so click on the button to do a new backup. This one is going to do that for you if you want to in a defined circle of time, whatever. Okay, cool. So let's have a look. Yeah, we can already see we have the button again and no kind of bar, and like this it really worked. Here we have backup restored successfully for, in the end, the download. So let's have a look if that is really the case. I'm just going to go back to my downloads folder here, and as you can see, we have all the different data back again. So we have here the Streamer app, which was the biggest one I downloaded there. And as you can see, even stuff like the date of the files and stuff like that are preserved. So as you can see, downloaded in January, it's not now in February or April or whatever, which is shown here. But you really get all the information as they were. And that's a really, really great helper for stuff like that. And works pretty well. I'm really impressed how good it works, because having any kind of backup solution and stuff like that, you really should do a test like this before you are using it, okay? And so make sure that it really works, that you can recreate stuff from it, and if that is working, then perfect. And this seems to be the case in this kind of situation, at least. Yeah, and this is more or less all I wanted to show you in this episode. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening. If you have any kind of questions, comment, whatever, put them down below in the commentary section, of course. If you liked this video, a thumbs up is really helpful for the awareness of the channel, or the channel that any other person will find it and stuff like that. And of course, if you didn't subscribe till now, the button is down below too. It's free of charge, of course. And like that, you are helping the channel a lot. So please consider that. And other than that, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, see you in the next episode. Until then, have a great time and bye.